across or through that time, one of the biggest questions that arose from the people who are planning for retirement is what, over and above, what am I going to, or how am I going to sustain my life financially, was how, or how am I going to spend all this extra time, right? And we ventured out to try and answer that question. So after some time, we got in touch with one of my very dear friends, whom I'll actually introduce you to. And we started to think through what are the things that perhaps we can do for the retirees, right? So one of the things that came up was the fact that a lot of businesses struggle or actually fail to grow because they lack the experience, they lack the expertise to run the businesses, right? And when they perhaps go to look, because ideally the best way to bridge those gaps or that gap is to look for a consultant to hire, and they will come and guide you in those particular areas you're lacking in, or train your staff, which both instances can be quite costly. But we figured we have people who have spent decades, 20, 30, 40 years building a particular skill. But when it comes to retirement, you're told that we no longer need your skill, we no longer need you. Whatever knowledge you have amassed is inconsequential going forward, right? So we figured, how do we transfer all this knowledge to, how do we connect these two to transfer the knowledge that they've gained over time to help bridge these gaps and at least make it cost effective for SMEs to grow. So that's when we came up with what's called Senior Talent. So what we generally do at Senior Talent is we guide and support business growth for SMEs. And we come into your business, we do a thorough needs analysis, develop. So the needs analysis will tell us where you're struggling in your business, and what the direction, what's the direction that you want to take your business. So now we build a support structure which we call an advisory board to help support you as you're growing your business. So this advisory board is built of, or rather, is made up of people who have transitioned into retirement. So say, for example, one of the guys we work with is the former VP, Samsung West Africa. He's especially good at business development. He retired, went into farming, but he still has the knowledge. The other person we have is CX expert. She's practiced and worked with over 3,000 SMEs across time, and now she's transitioned. So we take that knowledge, or we build advisory boards to help support SMEs to scale to the next level. So that's ideally what we do. Yeah. That's actually something we've been struggling with. Because over time we've realized they don't like being called retirees. And I think that's because of the negative connotation that comes with retirement. It's like you're past your best. So retirees it's something we quite steer away from because of the negative connotation around it. For now, I think it's best to use senior citizens. There's a time I was speaking to my brother and he called them junguku. Junguku meaning, there's a Swahili saying that goes, junguku halikosi ukokosio. So, like, and you know that's the sweetest. It's normally, whenever you get, that's normally the sweetest part of the food. So ideally what it means is someone who's been through life comes with a lot of wisdom, right? They've gained experience and they can share a lot of wisdom. Um, so, so what best to use for them? Senior citizens, I think. I think yes. Yeah, it does because with time they can tell you, as long as you're consistent, everything will make sense. My dad likes using this quote that everything you can connect the dots looking backwards, right? Everything makes sense when you finally look back, right? At the moment, it might not make sense, but as long as you're consistent along your path, um, it will make sense eventually. So for me, what it has helped me with is the ability to be consistent and focused on the goals. It might not seem as though you're making a lot of progress at the moment, but it always builds up. Similarly, as you're building a house, you start with the foundation, you go two courses up. It doesn't look as though you're going to get to where this building is, but over time, you just make that progress. Uh, a secret is being active, one, and being active. I'm using that term generally because if I say working out, most people will refer to the gym. But I found that being active, physically active, keeps you younger. And case in point, my dad is almost 80 now, and he does not look that old. Right? He's quite agile. In fact, we have a farm in Kirinyaga where we go, and he can climb trees that I can't climb. So he's remained quite active over his life, and he's managed to avoid a lot of illnesses. And I can see his vitality even when he's playing with his grandchildren, now my kids. Um, so it's staying active and maintaining a good diet. Good diet is key. Let me not specify, but a good diet is everything in moderation. Right? I don't believe in restricting myself from the good things in life in terms of, say, I'll have a burger here, I'll have a pizza once in a while. But majority of the time is when I stick to healthy and clean eating. So if I stick to healthy, clean eating 70 to 80% of the time, and the 20% I indulge, it has very little effect on my overall health and fitness. Yes. Potatoes. Yes. 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 I am that stereotype. Trust me. My guilty pleasure is potatoes in all forms, except boiled, perhaps. So let me share this. So when my wife and I were planning our wedding, so we had a choice of course, you have to pick a menu. Please, however you represent this, please do make. So one of the things I had to make sure was on the menu was potatoes. Saute potatoes, fried potatoes, roasted potatoes. I had to make sure that it was there. So that's my guilty pleasure. Yeah. And my friends will tell you if I'm not sure whether Otiende knows, but I think he does. Yeah. Most of my close friends will tell you that if there are potatoes or viazi somewhere, that's the first place I'll stop by. Yeah. No, I didn't. I just love. Yeah. I just love them. Yeah. Yes, yes. I can see you're not lying because you're celebrating. Yes. I love potatoes, trust me.
Yeah.
We met at a club in town. The streets that we were talking about. And I'd just actually broken up maybe 2 or 3 months before
Yeah.
with, I'd just broken up with my girlfriend then. And my boys and I, it was over Easter actually. My boys and I walked into a club and we sat down and were having our drinks. And then straight from where I was seated, I spotted this beautiful lady dancing by herself or with friends. And I'd never seen anything beautiful before than that. And I just told myself, I will, or rather, I have to know her. So I approached her, told her, you look very beautiful. Um, I've never seen anyone like you, and I'd like to dance with you. She flatly said no. Yes. But I was determined, Eddie. I was very determined. So I went back to her 3 more times, and still nothing happened. At the end of the day, or at the end of the night, we decided to leave the club, and I took out my business card, wrote my number at the back, forgetting that at the front my number is still there. But I just wrote it in bold, perhaps, just in case she doesn't see the one at the front, she'll see the one at the back. So I gave it to her friend, and the following day her friend got in touch. So all this time I'm chatting with someone thinking it's her. And then eventually I make a phone call, and she picks up the phone because I think they were together that time. She picks up the phone and tells me, you are not chatting with me. Please, everything she said is a lie. But her friend actually just told me, which is what gave me some hope. Her friend told me she likes you, she thinks you're hot, but she just doesn't want to say. I later came to realize that she was in a relationship at that point. Uh, and somehow I was able to.
You know that Nairobi meme.
Mm-hmm.
Do not let someone's husband stop you from being with the love of your life.
Yes,
That
yes.
was you.
Yes, that was me actually. And she has, I'll tell you for a fact, she has changed my life. What is now 10 years later, she has completely changed my life. Yeah. It is a short time. However, I have always been the kind of person who fully commits to a relationship, such that if we ended up breaking up, or if we end up breaking up, I would ideally look back at the time and say, I gave it my best. It probably was not meant to be. So, of course, there will be a bit of heartbreak, but I'm the kind of person who says, who's, at least by the time the relationship ends, I have given it my best. Yeah. So I have no regrets over what has happened. I just now look forward. So I didn't carry any kind of baggage. Besides, she was too pretty to just say, now let me sort out my issues first, and then
Yeah, you may never get that chance.
yes, I would never have gotten that chance again. For my family and I see that our future is secure because she will keep me fiercely accountable. Like she's ruthless at keeping me accountable. So with her, I know I will never slack, and I will keep leveling up every single time. Belief that I am always meant for more, and whenever I reach a new height, she'll always push me to go further. So she ideally just keeps me going. Yeah, yeah. So our future is bright as long as I'm with her.
Yes.
Our future is bright. Yes. Living up to her expectations, she sees more potential in me than perhaps I would I'd see in myself. You might not know, but I'm a bit introverted. Or rather, it might not be clear, but I'm a bit introverted, and she keeps this. She keeps that fire in me burning in terms of that I am capable of whatever I set my mind to. So with her behind me, I know that whenever things are tough, I can always count on her to just be there to support me, and I can rise back up again. Yeah, so I struggle to reconcile those two images. However, I am a growth mindset type of person, and I always believe that I can improve. I am not where I'm supposed to be, but I can get better. Yes. Well, I've learned a lot from them, in terms of how over the years I've seen them cooperate to make a life, to grow wealth. I've seen them work hand in hand. So I've borrowed a lot from them, and especially my dad. Anything I'm doing different, it's perhaps our willingness to explore and experience new things together as a couple. My mom traveled a lot. My dad never traveled, and he was the type of person who said, "I am okay with never traveling." But I've found that when we travel together, we get to experience new things, new places together, and that builds to the richness of our marriage, right? So our willingness to explore new things together is perhaps something I'm doing different from them. But majority of the stuff I've borrowed from it, I have learned a lot from them. The dad I am today is 100% attributable to the dad my dad was. His presence, he was very intentional with us. No, he is. He's still there. He's still. No, it's because back then he was very intentional. He was very present. He took us. He took us to school and picked us from school every single day, regardless of how his schedule was. He made time to come to school beyond even the parent-teacher meetings. He would just pop in school and just find out how is this guy progressing. And one day he actually caught me out because I was the games captain in high school at that particular point, and I'd taken the team, the school athletics team, for the regional competition. I was not an athlete in terms of I was not competing in any one of those competitions, but he popped in and he found that I was not in school. So he asked the teacher, did he have to go? I was told no, because he's not participating. I think I didn't last long as a games captain. I was demoted because he asked. Because he thought, or he felt like being given that responsibility sort of distracted me from what I was supposed to be doing in school. I'm supposed to be learning. So that's the core. That's what I should have been doing rather than going to participate in these other things. But he was, ideally for my dad, he was very intentional, very present. Yes. Yes. I believe we've been put in this relationship to enable each other to be the best that they can ever be. And because life has cycles, opportunities will present themselves for each one of you at a different time, right? So, from my experience, what happened was my mom and dad were working. My dad used to work at the airport, and my mom was a nurse. And opportunities for my mom to travel with different NGOs came up. And my dad, being that old, he's very traditional, by the way. And the fact that he was gracious enough to just say, you go out there and bring back whatever you can bring in, was for me something that was not heard of back then. But that kind of support, that unconditional support, that an opportunity has come for you, I will hold the fort, you go out there and explore. Later on, after some time, my mom fell sick and she had to retire. And I saw how my dad took charge of supporting her and caring for her through her illness to this particular point where she's fully recovered. And that for me shows that in any relationship, our responsibility is to ensure that you help the other person become the best that they can ever be. And opportunities for that will present themselves at different times. So it's for you to be intentional enough to assess those opportunities and see where the best benefit lies for the family, right? It's not looking at it selfishly and thinking, if the husband travels, I'll be left here alone with the kids. Just determining what's the best working formula for you, for your relationship. Again, there's a quote I came by just recently that said, the voice of your marriage needs to be louder than the voice of society. Right? So it is, you need to decide what your values are and what you're going to stick to. And regardless of what everyone else says, remember that you're building your own relationship. So I remember even when we were growing up, it was unheard of for, it was weird actually, just other people looking at my dad and considering that he's let his wife travel the world and he's left behind taking care of the family. But for them, they were quite steadfast on their values and they knew what they were targeting. So whatever else anyone said did not bother them. Yes. Yeah. You know, we say Nairobi, there's a nini about Nairobi is the biggest character developer out there. For me, marriage is the biggest character developer out there. And I say this because you will be forced to step out of your comfort zone. You will be forced to be selfless because now you have to consider someone else's feelings before yours, someone else's needs before yours. So for me, it's helped me become a more selfless person, and overally has helped me develop my character, right? In terms of, I'm able to put other people before me. I'm able to put my wife before my own needs, knowing that even without expectation that that is what she's going to do for me, it's ideally just helped me become more selfless and be able to put other people before me, and even has extended to other areas of my life, whether in corporate or in business. I'm more focused about meeting another person's needs or meeting the customer's needs. And that way I know I will get what I want eventually if I meet my customer's needs. So that's what it's helped me with. Taken away from me, selfishness. Don't force issues. Don't force issues. Usiforce. Usiforce.
What one of those relationships will be
Yeah, sana, sana, sana. But yeah, that's what it taught me. Don't force issues. If she wants to go, let her go. Yeah. So yeah, I have twin girls. There's my phone. I'd show you their pictres. Heading on to 7 now. I have very good friends. One of them is called Dan. He actually runs this company. It's called Lessons Executive. They do executive transfers and all that. If you want a private jet, helicopters, all that. Even close protection. This is the guy to talk to. However, I have him. I have another guy, ironically called Eddie. They're very good support systems in terms of we will get together once in a while, just have a drink or two, somewhere quiet, somewhere serene, and just talk. Apart from that kind of support system, I am quite big on working out. I know you can't tell, but yes, I try.
success is short.
But yeah, so one of the ways I've realized helps me actually decompress is working out. And it actually revitalizes me after doing a good workout. I'll try, on a good week, I'll try workout 6 days a week. But I'll do weights Monday to Friday and cycle stationary bike on Saturday. Easy 1-2 hours without pressure. I'm not trying to keep up with anyone, but I'll go hard Monday to Friday weight training. Yeah, so for me, self-care or time outside my female-dominated world is time with my friends, Eddie and Dan, and of course, my workouts. Yes. I'm sure if you spoke to my wife, she'll tell you this is the most difficult question to answer, especially even for her. I'm the type of person who's quite independent. I like to give than receive. I can't tell you where that started from, but I barely celebrate my birthdays. But I will try and go all out for the kids, go all out for the wife. I believe there's a place for you to take care of yourself. Yes, I am not neglecting myself, but I believe as a man, my life is for my family. My life is for my wife and for my kids, and I do everything just to give more and more to them. I believe that I'm the foundation upon which my family is built. Yes. So it's of course Sunday lunches, Sunday brunches, whatever that we will do a family lunch somewhere. Eh? With yes, with potatoes, and then family rituals is we have to hug in the morning. It's a must.
You have to hug.
Yes, you have to hug every morning.
Mad at each other.
Yes, that's you have to. When you wake up, I'm the person who's up earliest because I wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning. They wake up at the kids will wake up at maybe 5:30, 5:45, and my wife around the same time as they prepare for school. So, but generally, will make sure that we hug each other. That's something that is standard. Sleep. Miss sleep. And this I say fondly because I remember when we'd close for school holidays, I'd ask my dad why he'd always wake up early, even when he's not going to work, even on Saturdays. And he would tell me, usingizi haitoshi, regardless of how many hours you sleep. Yes. Haitawaitosha. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, I can't punish myself this much. Here I am, waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning and sleeping at 10 or 11. But I've developed a knack for power napping. So I'll do 20 minutes power nap and I'm back alive again whenever I feel a bit drowsy. That and perhaps pets around the house. I've not had the opportunity to have a lot of pets lately because maybe family dynamics. There's someone who's not a cat person, there's someone who's not a dog person. I'm both a dog and a cat person. I've had dogs and I've had cats before, so my kids want pets, and that's actually in the works. But we're going to get a dog. I I'm sorry if I offend anyone. I hate small dogs. I hate small dogs.
Get a small dog, just get a cat.
Get a cat, right? So, and I'm the kind of person who's spent my life with big dogs. I've had cats, so right now I think what I crave most is just having a family pet. Yes. Oof. Oh yeah, I am big on animation. Watching animation, watching cartoons. I am. Yes. I think I've watched Rango a million times. Rango. I've watched Rango a million times. Uh, what other one? Despicable Me. Yes. Those two. I've watched them so many times. And I've sort of inculcated my kids into the habit of watching. And my wife used to complain until she'd get into the movie after some time, and these guys have some sense of humor. And then she would now settle down and continue watching with me. Yeah. Funny enough, it's local. It's a local trip, and we we traveled to Tafaria, and it was drama filled along the way. There's a point, I think, along the route we were cruising and we had not seen uh, the markings for a bump. And at one point we were flying over. We just hit the bump and flew. Uh, that and also because of the fact that that trip was inspiration for one of our kids' names. So there was, I don't know whether it's still there because it's a long time ago. There was this big white horse, like these horses that used to pull carriages. It was big, white, and extremely majestic. And that horse was called Taji. Like, a horse that has a hoof this size. You see? This size. And that horse, I can still see it in my head. It was so beautiful that the moment we saw it, my wife and I were like, if we get a child, this has to be one of the names. Yeah. Taji. Depends on who you're asking. But if you ask, I I think I'm a better father than husband. Uh, I still think I am a work in progress in the husband area. There are a lot of dynamics, and I feel I still have to share a bit of selfishness. But when you consider my kids, my selflessness to them comes a bit more naturally. So I think I am a better father. I am a work in progress in the husband area. That's a tricky question. It depends on what perhaps you consider all. But I believe that every single person has the things that they value, right? And if you're able to determine what those things are and sort of focus on those few things that you value and close yourself out to the rest of the world, I think someone can have those. I think you can have those. You can have, if yours is family success, in terms of perhaps even career, or I believe you, if you figure out the few things that you value and focus on them, then you can have it all. My friend Eddie, on the other hand, believes that you will suffer for the things that you want. Okay, so I'll give you my wife's example. My wife's dream car is a Jeep Wrangler, like with the big tires, everything. She's the kind of person who likes the rugged kind of vehicles. So Eddie says that whatever you want, you will suffer for. For you to get that dream car, you will have to work so hard to get it. Right? So I think for me, based on that, is determining the few things that you're willing to suffer for and focusing on those, shutting yourself out of everything else. The things you want, you will suffer for. If you stop wanting it, then you don't have to suffer for it. If you want a successful business, you have to suffer to make it successful, right? If you no longer want it, you shed that expectation and you can carry on life without, right? So, yeah. So I believe if you're able to determine what you value, and because it's not everything, focus on those particular things that you're willing to suffer for, I think you can get it. Simplest pleasure is just a long drive, quiet drive with no, well, not a bit of music. Well, it will. There are times where you will put loud music, and but a long drive for me is something that is quite simple. And nowadays, especially with the invention or the introduction of Airbnb, it doesn't have to be a ride to a very expensive hotel. It's just a long drive along the road, and you go pick somewhere, just sleep and enjoy whatever the surroundings will give you. Yeah. Na mafuta imeshuka. So now people are free to drive wherever they go. Yes. One is Guts Over Fear, Eminem, and a quote that the magic you're looking for is in the work that you're avoiding. Then that builds up to the next quote that I will give you. It's procrastination is the assumption that is the arrogant assumption that God owes you a second chance to do what you had the chance to do today. So it's the moment is now. You have to give your best and leave it all on the table, because you're never guaranteed about tomorrow. So the reason why guts over fear is quite profound for me is I was never the very confident person to speak to people, to network, to even speak in front of people. So guts over fear has sort of been a constant over my life. I will listen to it whenever I do. I've done a few corporate presentations and trainings, and I will listen to it before I walk in, and it keeps me going. It reminds me that the fear might be there, yes, but you have to be courageous enough to act in spite of it. Yeah. I've come to terms with the fact that everything might not make sense now, but with time it will. Yeah. Two things: being consistent and my growth mindset. Yeah. That ability or belief that I can get better. I might not know something now, but I will. With time, I will know it. I will figure it out. Knowing what I know now, nothing. So for me, I don't know whether you term it as a hack, but I give myself permission to indulge over the weekends, on Saturday perhaps, because I dedicate myself to a strict routine Monday to Friday. Working out, getting the kids from school, all that, a good diet, everything. I am strict Monday to Friday. On Saturday, I give myself the permission to indulge in a few guilty pleasures, the potatoes, all that. I have a drink, that's fine. And I found that instead of feeling guilty that I'm indulging, what that does is it gives me the motivation to stick to my routine the following week. Yeah. So what comes to mind is I make a main shawarma, serious one, and I think that's one of the perhaps guilty pleasures over or on Saturday, my wife and I, and we'll make sure that we have it for breakfast on Saturday. Yes, yes, yes.
That's
Home cooked.
home
Home cooked. No, but actually, it's become like a habit now that we'll have perhaps shawarmas on Saturday morning. Dan, Dan, you should know Dan. I don't know whether he's arrived. You should know Eddie Thiomo. I'll give you those contacts. These are the most intriguing people I have ever met. People who challenge me, and they're doing great things. So he's just launched, yes, Dan, a ride-hailing app for luxury cars. So if you want an S-Class, whatever, there's an app already for it. Eddie is a corporate strategist and works in the startup and SME areas. He's a brilliant lawyer. He has a beautiful mind, trust me. When you sit down with him, I'd like to hear, no, I'd like to hear how the ranking now from there, who becomes the most memorable interview that you ever had? Yes. Yes. Not even for ever. I am sure Eddie will beat that. You will be intrigued, and he can easily beat the best interview that you've ever had. Dan is his story of how he began the business and how far he's come to the level where he's now the person who's, if VPs, presidents are coming into the country, he's the point of contact. He's the person who's organizing their transportation, their security, and all that. It's a beautiful story for you to hear.
So, Mr. Nduati.
Yes.
It's been an hour. I hope it didn't feel like an hour.
No, it didn't.